How is it going, everyone? It's K-Limit here, and today we are going to be talking about a PlayStation 2 game that I think actually gets a bit too much hate. I think that this game isn't nearly as bad as people will say it is. In fact, I would go as far to say that this game is actually super underrated. It's actually a really fun video game, and the game we're talking about today is Star Wars Super Bombad Racing. Now, I think the main reason people hate this game, honestly, is probably because it's episode 1. I feel like that's the main reason why people hate this game. But this game is actually a really fun kart racing game. If you like kart racing video games, you're probably going to enjoy this one. The level design is really cool. If you like Star Wars Episode 1 like I do, I actually am a fan of Star Wars Episode 1. Star Wars Episode 1 is my favorite Star Wars movie. So, for me, I really like all the different courses and everything because they're all Star Wars Episode 1 themed. You have a lot of cool different tracks. You have a lot of shortcuts on the tracks. You have a bunch of different racers to pick from that are all from Episode 1. You have Jar Jar Binks, the best Star Wars character. I'm going to get some hate for that one. Darth Maul, which is awesome to be able to play as Darth Maul. You got Anakin Skywalker. You got Obi-Wan, Princess Amidala. You got Boss Nass, Sebulba. You know, you got quite a decent amount of characters here to play as. You got Yoda even. And I think that the game itself actually plays really well also. It's cool because while it's kart racer, it's obviously Star Wars, so you're in these like hovering vehicles instead. And there's some areas where it actually will let you kind of like free fly your vehicle on certain tracks. Like, for example, when you get to like this droid factory, you can fly into space and you can basically just fly your vehicle with completely free motion and basically fly through space, which is pretty cool. Obviously, you still have to stay on the track, but it's still cool that they let you kind of, you know, break free from gravity and keep flying in basically any direction you want. And then you also have another track, which is all underwater. It has some like normal land places as well, like normal land portions, but it's based off of Gungan City. And it's really cool because you're racing through Gungan City, all of a sudden there's this underwater part, you go through the underwater, and you're basically having like, your vehicle can move any direction at once, it kind of floats in the water, it doesn't just like, you know, it's not restricted by gravity, and I think that's actually a really cool idea, and you don't really see that from a whole lot of kart racing games, and this one does a really good job of it. The actual courses, some of my favorite ones personally, I really like Coruscant. I think Coruscant's a really cool track. I like the Dune Sea as well, the Dune Sea one is really fun. And I actually like the battle mode in this game. There's actually an arena mode. It's actually just called Arena, but it's basically battle mode that you would see in something like Mario Kart or something like that. Usually, I'm not a huge fan of battle modes when it comes to kart racing games, because my thought process is usually, well, I'd rather just play a vehicle, you know, battle game, you know, instead of playing a kart racing game that just happens to have a battle mode. Usually, in my head, I'm like, well, I'd rather play a vehicular battle game like Twisted Metal or, you know, Battle Force 5, Hot Wheels, or, you know, something along that line, Star Wars Demolition. So usually when it comes to kart racing games, I'm not a huge fan of battle modes, but this one's actually pretty good, especially because the courses are really good. So not only do you have two courses from Episode 1, you have Coruscant and you have the Naboo Plains, which is really cool actually to fight on, but then you actually have some from the original trilogy as well, which I'm sure some people will really enjoy. You have the Great Pit of Carkoon, the Sarlacc Pit, which is really cool to see, and then you also have the Moon of Hoth, and it has this like worm that like pops out of it and stuff like that. It's a really cool course. All of the battle maps and all of the arenas for the battle mode are really fun and they're really well designed, and just like how you would expect, it's basically last man standing wins. It's not about doing the most damage. It's mainly just about survival in arena mode. You actually have a shield meter in this game, and that's going to be your health, essentially. So you can actually collect more shield as you go through a race, or if you're going through battle mode, you can actually drain other people's shields and take it for yourself. And you're going to need that shield because it will protect you from wiping out. In battle mode, it will really help you, though, because you really have to have that. Basically, however much shield you have, that determines what your place in arena mode is going to be. And the higher you have, obviously, you're going to be first place, and you can drain other people's health. So if you're in like second place and you drain someone else's health, though, then you can actually go back into first place, which is pretty cool. But it's just a neat idea to do it. It's not your regular just you get hit and you wipe out. You actually have a little bit of leeway with the shield. So I thought that was kind of cool that they did that instead. Now, the actual pickups and everything, there's quite a few different pickups in this game. You have, you know, your regular stuff that you see in a lot of games. You have the boosts and stuff. You have, you know, your regular kind of like objects that will hunt down the opponent in front of you, kind of like the red shells in Mario. You have stuff that's similar to that. But then you also have like some tractor beam type abilities. You have like grappling hooks that will grab onto, another driver and they'll pull you forward. And then each character has like their own special unique abilities. So like Darth Maul can toss double-bladed lightsabers. So Bulba can like throw a piece of like junk at your car or whatever. So it's cool that they have that. Jar Jar Binks can attack with his tongue. I like that they have their own, they each have their own little special ability that they can do. I like a lot of the abilities that are in this game. It makes for really fun races and really fun arena mode, both. So they did a fantastic job when it comes to that stuff. And in terms of how many courses you have here, you have 9 courses total, and you actually have to unlock each one by one. And the way you do that is you have to place first every single time in the regular racing mode. So you have to get first place, and if you get first place, it will unlock the next course for you, and you'll just have to keep doing that until you unlock all 9. And then once you do that, you actually unlock basically all of the courses in a circuit mode. So you can do this like galactic circuit, and it will let you race through all 9 courses in one sitting, and it will be, your regular kind of Grand Prix style race where at the end it will give you a certain amount of points for wherever you place. One thing I did want to mention real quick before I talk about anything else, before I forget, I did want to say that this game has one negative thing that I did notice, and that's that it does try to rubber band you sometimes. If you watch the minimap in the corner, sometimes you'll see random like icons of the other characters teleport to be right behind you, and it usually doesn't mess you up. But every now and then, they will get you at the very end of the race, and you'll come in like second or third, and when it does happen, it's kind of frustrating. So that'd be the one thing I would say that I'm not a huge fan of. It does try to rubber band you. It usually doesn't work, but when it does, it is aggravating. Nobody likes rubber banding in racing games, and unfortunately, I did notice it trying to do that to me in this game. So you can either do the Galactic Circuit, which will let you go through all 9 races in one sitting, or you can actually do separate circuits, because they will split up the tracks. There's 9 tracks, and they'll split them up into groups of 3, and you can do 3 tracks at a time for an individual circuit if you want to just do smaller ones. So that's also an option. So there's quite a bit of options, actually, when it comes to doing the races, which is pretty cool. And then you also get all the courses in mirror mode once you race through an entire Galactic Circuit. So I'm not a huge fan of mirror mode racing, but it is just kind of an extra option. It's nice that they give you just more stuff to do, so I'm always for extra features, so if they want to throw in an extra feature like that, go ahead and do it. I played through that as well, and I thought it was really fun. But I still prefer just the regular races in not mirror mode, in just the regular mode instead. But overall, this is a really fun game. And the one thing that I'll probably have to talk about next is the graphics, because I know that this is probably going to be a point of controversy, if you will, because I know some people aren't a fan of this cartoony bobblehead look. I actually really like this look, and the reason why I like it is because to me this look is nostalgic, because it reminds me of the Happy Meal toys that they used to give out back in the 2000s. I used to go get Happy Meals, and they would have these toys of these, Star Wars characters, and they would have big heads, and they would be in a Star Wars vehicle. And that's what these characters in this video game remind me of. So I actually really like the design of this game. To me, it's really nostalgic looking. It's cartoony, but it's like cute and bubbly, and I don't know, I like it. I like it because it just reminds me of things like the Happy Meal toys I grew up with and stuff like that. To me, this entire game, honestly, is just a big package of nostalgia, and it just has a lot of things that I like that I grew up with. I mean, it's Star Wars Episode 1. It represents some of the Star Wars toys I grew up with. It has some of my favorite vehicles in it. It has some of my favorite Star Wars characters in it. And overall, it has even some of my favorite maps in it, favorite planets. And it's just a really fun game overall. I really like this one. I don't really know why people hate this game. I didn't run into any issues. I think the game plays fine. I didn't really run into any glitches or anything like that. So I don't know where the hate comes from. The game controls really well. It's really fun to find the shortcuts and ramp into certain shortcuts, because some of the shortcuts you really gotta try to find, and you gotta ramp into certain places to get to them. And I think it's fun to do that stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what the hate for this game is honestly all about. All I can say is that I don't think that the hate is warranted. I think that this is a really good game, and I actually think that this is probably a must-own on the PlayStation 2 library. I'm actually going to say this. I don't know how much hate I'm going to get for this, but in terms of kart racing games on the PS2, this is one of the best ones. It's not as good as Crash Tag Team Racing or something like that, but this is still a pretty competent racing game. that I really think that you should try out. I think that you should give it a fair chance and try this game out, because I really think that you're going to enjoy this kind of cartoony Star Wars game that just has some really wacky races. Great music, by the way. Fantastic music. They take a lot of the Star Wars music and they just make it more cartoony for the game. Overall, this is just a great package. This is a great game, and I really enjoy it, and I highly recommend it. I think it's a fantastic game, especially because it's also usually still really cheap. So if you can find this game, pick it up, play it, try it out, and, you know, let me know what you think about this game, because I personally think that this game is actually pretty darn good. They put a lot of effort into this game, and you can tell. So, thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe button down below, and I will see you in the next one. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.